Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep into AI and specifically its role in software development.
Sounds good.
We're going to be talking about SuperCoder 2.0.
Ah, yeah.
We got a research paper all about its architecture, methodologies, and performance.
Great.
And we're really interested to see what this system can tell us about the future of AI coding.
Definitely. It's a fascinating system pushing boundaries we haven't really seen before in autonomous coding.
So why don't we start off by just breaking down exactly how it works?
Sure.
The paper talks about two main phases, search and edit.
Okay.
Can you kind of walk us through what happens in the search phase?
Yeah, absolutely. The search phase is all about pinpointing the exact location in the code base that needs attention.
Okay.
You can almost think of it as like an AI detective that's going through thousands of lines of code trying to figure out where the problem is.
Gotcha. So this isn't just like a basic keyword search, right?
No, not at
This is something more complex.
Yeah, SuperCoder 2.0 has a really clever way of finding the problem. It uses a three-step approach. First, it uses something called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or R, which it uses along with what they call a repository file level map.
What does that do?
Basically, it uses these code embeddings to analyze the problem and figure out which files in the entire code repository are most relevant.
So it's using context to understand the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just looking for a keyword, it's actually trying to understand what the code is doing.
That's pretty impressive.
Then the second step uses a file level schematic map. Now this map is interesting because it gives a detailed summary of what's in each file.
Okay.
So the AI can analyze the relationship between all these different components.
So it can pinpoint exactly which file is the problem.
Precisely. And then finally, the third step is where it extracts the most relevant locations inside the chosen file.
Interesting.
So it doesn't just focus on line numbers, which can be really unreliable, especially as code changes.
Right.
Instead, it tries to identify the actual method or function that's causing the issue.
So it's really getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. It's about understanding the flow and logic of the code.
Wow. So once it's found the problem, how does it go about fixing it?
Well, that's where the edit phase comes in. It really showcases what AI can do with code generation.
Okay.
There are two key modules in this phase, the code generation module and the code editing module.
So let's start with code generation. What does that module do?
Well, that's where they're using large language models like GPT-4 and Claude Sonnet 3.5.
Oh, wow. So the big names.
The big names, and they take the analysis from that search phase, and they use that to generate potential solutions for the code.
Okay.
But here's the kicker. It's not just one solution. It actually explores multiple options.
That's pretty cool.
It uses different temperature settings to get a range of ideas.
Temperature settings? That's interesting.
Yeah, think of it like controlling the AI's creativity.
Oh, I see.
Higher temperature, more out there ideas, lower temperature, more straightforward solutions.
I like it.
So the AI gets to brainstorm.
That's a good way to put it.
And then comes the code editing module, which is like our quality control.
Yeah.
This module ensures that those AI-generated solutions are properly integrated into the existing code.
Makes sense. So it's not just randomly dropping in code, it's making sure it fits.
Absolutely. It uses something called abstract syntax tree, AST parsing, which is really precise code manipulation.
Okay.
So we end up with code that's syntactically correct and fits with the style of the existing code base.
So it's not just generating code, it's like it has good coding etiquette.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there to ensure that the code quality is top-notch.
There's more.
Oh yeah. After implementing a potential fix, it runs the entire suite of repository-level tests.
Oh, wow, that's thorough.
If the fix causes any new errors or fails any test, the system goes back and refines the solution.
It's like it's learning and getting better.
Exactly. It's a very dynamic process.
This whole thing's a lot more sophisticated than I initially thought.
Right. It's not just about throwing some lines of code around.
Yeah, it's like it actually understands the problem.
Exactly. And it's finding solutions in a really smart way and then rigorously testing its work. It shows how far we've come with autonomous programming.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
SuperCoder 2.0 is a great example of how AI can be used to improve the software development process.
It's not just automating tasks, it's like a partner.
I agree.
I'm already really impressed, and we haven't even talked about the performance evaluations yet.
Right.
But before we get to that, I want to make sure we really understand the intricacies of these two phases.
Yeah, let's break it down a bit more.
That hierarchical approach in the search phase and the code generation, editing, and testing in the edit phase.
That's a lot to unpack.
It is.
In the next segment, we can dive deeper into the specific algorithms and techniques.
Perfect.
And really see what makes SuperCoder 2.0 so successful.
Sounds great.
Sure.
All right, I think we have a pretty good high-level understanding of how SuperCoder 2.0 works.
Yeah.
But you mentioned some really cool technical details that I think are worth exploring. So let's dig in. Let's start with that search phase. Okay. What can you tell us about the algorithms and techniques behind that hierarchical approach?
So in that first step, using rgrag and the repository file level map, it really relies on these code embeddings. Specifically, they use something called GINA code embeddings.
Right.
And these are really interesting because they're designed to capture the actual meaning of the code.
So it's not just turning code into numbers, it's actually understanding what the code is doing.
Precisely. And using these code-specific embeddings is really key to SuperCoder 2.0's accuracy.
Okay.
Because it allows it to understand the code much deeper than a simple keyword search.
It's like it can actually read the code, not just scan it.
Exactly. And then in that second step, with a file-level schematic map, things get even more granular because this map gives a hierarchical representation of each file.
I see.
It outlines how all those classes, methods, and variables relate to each other.
It's like giving it a blueprint of the code.
Exactly. And this is super helpful for tasks like bug localization.
Yeah, I can imagine trying to find a bug in a huge code base without understanding how things connect would be a nightmare.
It would be impossible. The file-level schematic map gives SuperCoder 2.0 that crucial guidance.
Gotcha. And then the third step, it zooms in even further to those relevant locations.
Yeah, this is where it gets down to the specific method or function.
Okay.
It goes beyond just line numbers, which can be unreliable.
Right.
It analyzes the code's execution flow to find the exact block of code causing the issue.
It's like it's a code detective. It's impressive.
It really is. And then we move on to the edit phase.
Right.
Let's talk about the code generation module.
Yes, let's get into that.
You know, as we mentioned, it uses those powerful large language models like GPT-4 and Claude Sonnet 3.5.
The big leagues.
They've been trained on so much code.
Yeah.
They can actually generate entire code segments, not just small bits.
So it's capable of writing more complex code.
Exactly. It can generate whole methods or even classes based on the search phase analysis.
That's pretty amazing.
It's like having an AI programmer working alongside you.
It really is.
And then remember those temperature settings we talked about? That's where it gets even more interesting.
Yeah.
Higher temperatures let the AI get really creative with potential solutions.
So it might come up with things a human wouldn't even think of.
Exactly. But of course, more creativity can sometimes lead to errors. Or code that doesn't fit in.
Right.
That's where the code editing module comes in to make sure everything is top-notch.
So tell me about that code editing module.
Okay, so this module uses something called abstract syntax tree, or AST parsing.
That sounds complicated.
It basically transforms the code into a tree structure, representing the grammatical structure of the code.
I see.
This lets the AI manipulate the code very precisely.
So it's making sure the new code is inserted correctly.
Exactly, and that it adheres to the rules of the programming language.
It's like having an AI that knows all the grammar rules.
That's a great way to put it.
And then on top of all that, SuperCoder 2.0 runs tests to ensure everything is working.
Oh yeah, the testing is vital.
Yeah?
It runs all those repository level tests, providing really comprehensive feedback on the code changes.
That's important.
And if a test fails, it can actually refine the code automatically.
So it's constantly learning and improving.
Exactly. It's a very intelligent and dynamic system.
It's like a built-in QA team.
I like that analogy.
It's really remarkable how much automation and feedback is built into this system.
It is. SuperCoder 2.0 shows us the potential AI has to revolutionize software development.
It's not just a tool. It's like a partner that's always there to help.
Very intelligent partner.
All right, so we've talked a lot about how it works.
Oh, we've covered a lot of ground.
Now let's get to the exciting part.
The results.
How did SuperCoder 2.0 perform when faced with real coding challenges? All right, let's get into how SuperCoder 2.0 actually performed.
Yeah, time to see how it did.
They used the SWE-bench Lite dataset for the evaluation.
Right, that's a collection of real-world coding problems.
Perfect for testing these kinds of systems.
It really puts them through their paces.
Right. So what were the results?
Well, first, focusing on the search phase.
Okay.
Remember that three-step approach? It was able to identify the correct file with the bug with an accuracy of 84.33%.
Wow, that's pretty high.
And that's within the top 5 candidates.
So almost 85% of the time it found the right file.
Out of possibly thousands.
That's really impressive.
It shows how well that hierarchical search strategy works.
And the code embeddings.
Exactly. Now for the big question.
Did it actually solve the problems?
Right. How well did it actually fix the code?
Yeah.
So it had a 34% success rate in fully resolving the issues.
34%.
Yeah, it might not seem that high at first, but you have to consider the context.
Okay, what's the context?
This puts SuperCoder 2.0 among the top performers on the SWE-bench leaderboard.
So it's competitive with the best out there.
Absolutely. This is a significant step forward in autonomous programming.
So these weren't easy problems to solve.
No, these were real challenges that developers face every day.
And an AI system solved over a third of them.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really highlights the potential of this technology.
Absolutely. The future is bright for AI in coding.
The paper also looked at its performance across different types of problems.
Yes, and various repositories.
Were there any interesting findings there?
What's really cool is that SuperCoder 2.0 was pretty consistent.
Okay.
It performed well across a range of code bases.
So not just good at one specific thing.
Right. It handled symbolic mathematics, data visualization, web development.
Wow, so it's pretty versatile.
It's a very adaptable system.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into AI coding.
I agree. Fascinating stuff.
SuperCoder 2.0 is really pushing the boundaries.
It gives us a glimpse into the future of software development.
A future where AI and humans work together?
Where AI can take care of those repetitive tasks.
Freeing up humans to focus on the more creative aspects.
Exactly. I'm excited to see what comes next.
To all our listeners out there, we encourage you to check out the full research paper.
Yeah, if you want to dive deeper into the technical details.
It's a really thought-provoking read.
And let us know what you think.
What are your thoughts on SuperCoder 2.0?
What excites you about AI in coding?
What concerns you?
Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, Keep exploring.
And keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
See you all next time.